Okay, so time to do some news, particularly those captured by the numerous newspapers we have in the country, and as well as the online portals as well. Maybe we could start off with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. That's what I have here. I'm sure you have quite a number of them anyway, but we'll be delving into yours as well. But
Yes.
let's start off with the Ghanaian Times newspaper, and it comes with a picture of Muhammad Ali, the greatest, and it says President and the world mourn Muhammad Ali, and that's on page 29 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. It also comes with a photograph of Education Minister Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, who says, government says to students, no imposition of utility bills. And that's on page 16. I'm really interested in this story. I think I might have to bring you a bit of it.
Yes.
It's on page 16. Let me see whether I can quickly find page 16 in the Ghanaian Times newspaper, and then I'll bring you a bit of it. So if you're really interested in it, you could also grab a copy of it and read the full details there. So he says, the Minister for Education, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, has stated that the government has no desire to impose a decision concerning the payment of utility bills by tertiary institutions on students. She said the solution to the problem would come through the dispassionate discussions and consensus by the Utilities Task Force set up by the ministry, comprising representatives from students, unions, authorities of the tertiary institutions, and the utility agencies. There's a quote here. It says, we hope that the work, we hope that the work of this group will put behind us the protracted issue which has bedeviled the delivery of education for quite some time to enable us focus on the core business. Government has absolutely no desire in imposing a decision on any group, least of all students. Okay, so that's it. Not concrete enough, is it?
No, it doesn't really, well.
Okay, I have a desire to be a lawyer one day.
So that you can...
I have a desire. It's a desire.
It's a
so
desire.
It says government has a desire.
There's a probability.
Yeah.
It's
So
not
I think there's a pretty big caveat here. Or
Yes, it's not, well, it's not really certain.
so a lot of
But once they have the desire, then, you know, they're trying to tell you that they're putting all their energies into making sure it happens.
a lot of people are saying that a lot of comments being churned out by many of our politicians, particularly around this time, are being managed. So, for instance, if the situation is A, you say, oh, it looks like A, but we are very hopeful that it might be B.
Because
Because it's an election year and anything can happen.
Right,
So
you know
just manage the situation
Manage
now.
it.
When you win the election,
Then you can
go ahead and implement
do
anything. But
whatever you want
those continue to remain speculations and rumors. But you can get a lot more details of that very story, like I said, on page 16 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. There's also a very interesting story on the back page. Ghana books AFCON 2017 place, and also Ghana to pursue England youth star. You can see Andrew Dede Ayew there, who is pretty ecstatic about that victory yesterday. I couldn't watch that match, but
I couldn't watch it too, but I was glad.
I know we won by 2-0.
Yes,
the good news is we've qualified for, but I really don't think that this should be news for us.
We've
This is the
been-
Black Stars.
Yeah, and then we've been qualifying
Exactly, I
every
think-
time. I think for the past 3 consecutive times,
Yeah,
we have qualified.
much more than that.
more than
you know,
that.
so I think really we should be setting our sights towards winning the trophy.
We always get
Winning
so
the
close.
trophy. I think that's really what the thing should be.
Yes.
But yeah, so those are the stories on the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
All right,
the
so
front
let's
and
do
back
the
pages.
Daily Graphic now. Some bad news on the front page. Accident in Koko claims 5 lives. In Koko Abepotia. And Mampong fire victims to be buried today. Chenchahini, we broke that news on June 3, a very unfortunate incident. And 2 GES officials busted for illegally recruiting 100 teachers. Interesting. The systems, seem to be so porous for people to do whatever they want to do. But, some of the verification forms filled by the teachers are yet to be validated. And in that whole process, these 2 people have been arrested. And so on the center spread, it's quite an interesting feature, Kwabna. It talks about how we are depleting or destroying our sea. And well, I don't seem to find the set. It's quite a bulky paper today. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's the Daily Graphic.
Yes, it's the Daily Graphic. But today's volume is quite, Okay, so this is the special feature, So Help Our Seas, and it's an extensive one on, people in that industry who are sharing their frustrations about how their jobs have turned out to be now. They're doing some comparison over there, and well, so you can read it in the center spread of the Daily Graphic. I'm interested in this story. The British High Commissioner has spoken again.
Okay, John Benjamin.
John Benjamin.
He seems to trend a lot. I don't know why.
He trends a lot because he's not your usual diplomat.
He's vociferous. He always opines his thoughts.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. He's not your usual diplomat. But let me pick that story because it says the British High Commissioner to Ghana, Mr. John Benjamin, last Saturday chided members of the Sports Writers Association of Ghana, SWAG, for keeping mute over what he called sensitive subjects which have been kept underground in the profession, thereby preventing honest reporting. The outspoken diplomat mentioned age and name falsification in sports in general and football in particular, corruption in sports administration, match fixing, influence from high authorities, bias reportage, and giving prominence to football-related stories at the expense of other sports, among others, major issues which had been ignored over the years.
I see. John Benjamin again.
John Benjamin again.
Okay, but I'm pretty disturbed by that story on the front page. The Mampong fire victims who are to be buried today, and I was just
the man was a
yes, indeed. When the issue broke, I was just reflecting on it, and it was pretty touching. I mean, a family, an entire family.
Except his
bent
wife.
to death, except his wife. And mind you, the wife had also gone for a funeral. Well, we are told her mother's funeral. So you go for your mother's funeral, and while there, you are given a call and you are told that, you know what, the entire family, everybody is dead.
But you know, one problem I also have is how, as a country or as a society, we are able to help some of these people come out of these really traumatic experiences. I think that usually after the funeral, everybody says their yako in local language. Everybody says their sorries, and then the people are left to themselves. Usually after such experiences, you wish that there should be some form, even sometimes a very extensive angle, some form of psychological help.
The trauma is pretty something.
I don't know.
But anyway.
Some bad news.
Okay,
Terrible
so
news.
I have the Daily Guide newspaper here, and it says, okay, the big story on the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper is NDC is confused, ready to tax air. And I guess that is to suggest that, well, the government is taxing pretty everything. So they're taxing your pensions, taxing your incomes, taxing your allowances, taxing even for the normal taxes, they're being increased. So get ready, your air will be taxed soon. That's according to the Daily Guide newspaper. Let me bring to you a bit of that story. It's on pages 3 and 6 of the paper, and it says the new Patriotic Party flag bearer Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has observed that the way the National Democratic Congress NDC government is handling affairs of the state points to the fact that that is the government, is confused. According to Nana Akufo-Addo last week, the Minister of Finance Tekpe and President John Dramani Mahama issued conflicting directives on the taxation of allowances and pensions, observing that it was an indication that Ghana was being run aground. The NPP flag bearer made the remarks when he addressed Ghanaians in Italy at a town hall meeting in the northern city of Modena on Saturday as part of his tour of that country. So, that's Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo suggesting that this very government is confused and taxing pretty everything. There's also a picture of Nilaya Afutiagbo, and it says Afutiagbo faces contempt, also on the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper, and apology to Smarties. That's also there. And 11 killed at Nsawam. I don't know really where I can find that story. Maybe I'll try and see whether I can find it. But while I do that, maybe Benis can bring us a lot more from her paper as well.
On the front page of the Daily Dispatch, perspectives on election petition hearings. The full story is on the back page, and it comes with a picture of the Chief Justice Georgina Wood and Justice William Atuguba, Nana Akufo-Addo, Dr. Farijan, and President John Mahama. And it's actually Ben Efson's perspectives on the election petition hearings if you come to the back page of the Daily Dispatch. But let me do this, the pull-out, Roland's favorite. And so this is election 2016. Know your electoral areas. And for today, the Shai Osudoku is featured. Ayin Suano Lambusi Kani, and all you have to know about these constituencies, and that's a pullout from the Daily Dispatch. And so just to help us get to know the constituencies we have and the various...
But you'll be surprised to know that not many are even familiar with their constituencies or even their members of parliament.
And you see, but Kwabna, it's, well, it all comes down to how the relationship is. What's the interactivity between your MP and yourself? And people are really not interested.
You see them every
politics.
4 years.
Yeah, and people are not really interested in politics. If you really go onto the streets and find out, we seem to be quite a political nation, talking a lot, but when it gets to the fine details of politics, people are not interested, surprisingly.
Exactly. Why else would people demand things from ministers? For instance, they say, we need schools, we need boreholes, we need this, we need this, we need that. Expecting the ministers to deliver, the members of parliament to actually do such things. And the MPs also go promising heaven and earth, clearly knowing that, well, they can't do much than just propagate or advocate. But then because of, one would say, the illiteracy levels, many would also say, yes, MP shall be my dainty, and then they end up voting. In the end, they are disappointed. I've seen that story I was looking for.
Okay.
11 killed in crash at Nkoko. It says reports reaching Daily Guide indicate that 11 persons died and about 47 others were injured in an accident that occurred in the early hours of Saturday, June 4, 2016 at Abipotianye Nkoko in the Kwewu West municipality of the Eastern region. Now, 3 persons died on the spot, while 8 others passed away at the Nkoko Holy Family Hospital and have since been deposited at the morgue waiting for autopsy. And the pretty sad
but Kwabna, the Daily Graphic is reporting that 5 lives were actually claimed. So I don't know why the variations in the
this
report.
Probably is an update on this very story by the Daily Guide.
Well, let's see how we can find out the difference.
But I just saw a picture of Nigeria's president, Muhammadu Buhari, and it says Nigeria recovers $9.1 billion in stolen money and assets. And this morning, it just reminded me of what I heard this morning on the BBC, knowing that, he's ill, he's taken ill. And he's been flown to London for an ear surgery.
Does it bring back memories?
Already, people are speculating in Nigeria that, yes, we told you, this man got sick now, Baba don't slow. Quite a number of things going on
you
there.
expect people to play politics with everything.
Indeed, but that's the situation. Nigeria's president, Muhammadu Buhari, we are told, will be undergoing surgery. An ear infection, we are told.
And he had to fly out of Nigeria?
Yes.
There's no doctor in Nigeria?
Okay. That's one of the issues.
All right, so on the front page of The Finder, nursing is a question, a crime. Why has government turned a blind eye to the plight of community health nurses? And it comes along with a picture depicting how some of these nurses, the conditions that they have to face or live in while serving people in rural communities. And so the story is on page 5, also on the back page. Well, sorry, that's an advertisement. Let's see what's on the center spread of this particular newspaper, also an advertisement. So let's read a bit of that story on page 5 of The Finder and quickly get to page 5. And thousands of children in rural Ghana under the age of 5 risk dying of the 6 childhood killer diseases, as the over 13,000 community health nurses who administer these vaccines are on an indefinite strike, which government has turned a blind eye to. That's really worrying if children in these rural areas will not have access to vaccination. But there's more to that story in The Finder, this morning's edition of The Finder. And also on the front page, Ghana Water Company Limited introduces new billing and payment system. I'm sure this is a story a lot of us will be interested in, Kwabna.
A new billing system.
A new billing system again.
One that looks like that of the ECG.
Let me just pick a bit of that story. It says the Ghana Water Company Limited has commenced the piloting of a new billing and payment system within the Tema region. The areas include all the communities in Tema, Bona, Shaiman, Spintex, Bachona, Sakumono, Bon, Akuse, Tema New Town and surrounding areas. Mr. Stanley Mate, Head of Public Relations and Communications of the GWCL, explained that the move is to make billing and payment convenient for customers. Now, the new billing and payment system will eventually be scaled up to cover the whole country upon successful implementation at the Tema region. But I'm wondering why.
I'm interested in the nitty-gritties
yes,
of this.
and I've read about 3 paragraphs, and I don't really know.
As to
what
firstly, why the need for a new billing system? What is it to curb, really? Is it that there's a problem with the system and that people are taking advantage of it, or what? Because I know that they have 2 systems. They have a metering system that goes with the normal thing, pay as you go, and then they have a flat rate system.
Yes.
So, for instance, whether you use the water or not, for every 20,000 gallons or 10,000 gallons you use, you pay X amount of money. So really, what's the motive or the rationale behind this? So
we'll find out.
Maybe
details,
we'll be speaking to the Ghana Water Company Limited and bring you a lot more on that also. But let's now go to Daily Heritage, and you can also see that very tragic story there. 11 perished in fatal accident at Abepotia, and you could see some gory images there. Sorry, I didn't warn you ahead. But there's a pretty interesting story I saw here. It's actually an editorial, and it says heads must roll over poor safety measures on the Volta Lake. And I'm bringing this up because we do know that yesterday there was another boat accident, also at Yeji on the Volta Lake.
Yes, but fortunately,
exactly, another accident. Yes, we would say fortunately no one died, but it was under the same circumstances.
And we still need to look at it.
Last week could have happened again. So I do not know. All we do know that quite a number of measures were put in place. We were told that you're going to enforce some directives that suggest that without a life jacket, you won't be allowed to ride on the boat. But not much has happened since. And clearly, the footage we have from yesterday suggests that only 1 out of 50 persons who were on that boat was in a life jacket. 1 person was in a life jacket.
1 out of 50.
So virtually everybody else could have died. And for me, that's a pretty big issue.
You can go to Accra to buy a life jacket.
Yeah.
So what's the problem? It's not as if we don't have life jackets in this country. Anyway.
And kudos to Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission. And well, that tells me that I'm told the Ramadan season has begun. The fasting has begun.
Yes, it started today.
Okay.
And
so I hear the saying is Ramadan Mubarak. That's if I'm right. So just to suggest that, well, we are with you in spirit. Keep fasting.
We are with you in spirit.
Fasting, but I'm hungry anyway.
But on the front page of the Chronicle, new twist, the Mampong fire disaster. Kwabna, there's an interesting lead there. But NDC imposes more taxes as Ghana Airport Company introduces new tariffs. So,
so
that's
I know you'll be bringing us a lot more.
Yes.
As far
but let me just pick. Sorry, let me just pick this. The new twist to the Mampong fire disaster is suggesting that it probably was an arson. But it says here, this follows a series of text messages and WhatsApp status updates which were retrieved from the phone of one of the deceased, pointing to a planned murder. Aside that, there are reports from eyewitnesses who went to the scene at dawn to help rescue the victims, who heard the late pastor Isaac Buttrey uttering some words like, "So if you want to kill me, why add my children? Why don't you kill me alone?" Though it's not clear as to the target of the message contained on the WhatsApp status, it is alleged that the deceased might have had an issue with a yet-to-be-identified person.
Interesting developments, but we'll see how that pans out. So while Benis gets ready to bring us the news making rounds on the numerous online portals, let me bring you one last story on the front page of the New Statesman. It says, Mahama government confused, indecisive. Akufo-Addo explains why Ghana is in crisis. And there's also another story down that says, more wahala, fuel prices go up again. And we are told that fuel prices might be hitting an additional 3% more in the coming days. I don't know your take on that anyway, but we'll still have to pay. We can only talk, but in the end we'll have to pay. Bawumia installed youth chief of Sakumono. His intelligence honesty praised. That's also a story on the front page. Oh, okay, it's the New Statesman newspaper. Okay. No wonder there are quite a number of MPP stories here. And then Mark Menu, nothing can save NDC in this year's elections. Seeming a bit buoyant and confident that the MPP is going to win the general elections. And finally, Muhammad Ali, world invited to Louisville funeral. And if you're well aware, that funeral we are told will be taking place today. His body already has arrived at the venue and has been parading the streets of the town. But time now for some online review.
Yes, sir. Let's get on to My Joy Online. Corporate powers, how to escape the whole of office politics to achieve more. I'm sure a lot of you will be interested in this story. Please get on to myjoyonline.com and read for yourself. I'm sure there's a lot to learn from that. And Crow from riots, buttress need for complaint Authority. That's from the CHRI, and we know about that particular incident that led to the riots, the killing of a 22-year-old gentleman. In Nigeria's tomato crisis, can you mix stew without tomatoes?
I can.
Can you?
I can.
Can you?
Yes, I just make do with the tin tomatoes.
But it's still tomatoes.
But it's in the tin.
All right, okay, so... All right, okay, so I don't know. Unless you're doing some
but you can't.
pepper stew.
No,
If
you
are doing
you
pepper
just
stew,
need a lot of onions. That's it.
that's pepper stew.
Well, onions. I'm fine with that.
All right, so well, Chechehini just brought us that story, the installation of Baumia as youth chief of Sakumono. Really beautiful, broad smile he has over there. And national tragedy or a national crime?
I think
That's
I'll opt for a national crime. I'll opt for a
this
national crime,
is in relation to June 3, and we can move on there on myjoyonline.com here. Black Stars, okay, Diageo Unitar sign strategic partnership agreement on road safety. Well, we just brought you some stories on some people who've lost their lives. 11 people we hear have lost their lives in a tragic road accident today. We hope that that goes a long way to curb these kind of things that happen on our road. But Black Stars fans impassive as Ghana qualify for 7th straight AFCON. 7th straight AFCON without a trophy.
I don't remember the last time we got a trophy. It's been a while. At least not in the last 7 years.
Well, we wish them all the best this time. I really am praying. I really am praying that we do make something good out of it. But Kolebu Burns unit gets ultra modern ICU by September, and well, we'll still follow the story by September. Ultra modern ICU.
Anyway,
well, let's move on to some other online portals. City FM Online. NDC may soon tax the air we breathe. That was also on the front pages of one of the newspapers. Scroll from protest. Minority leader wants clarity on autopsy. And MPP will revamp Tema Industrial Hub, and that's according to Baumia. And Bongo confusion. NDC youth vow to vote against. Edward Bauer.
That very issue happened on Saturday. There was a bit of a clash between some people who purport themselves to be supporters of Edward Bauer and some other NDC youth group in the town. The problem was that they say Edward Bauer is not in touch with the grassroots and yet seeks to represent their interests.
Like what we just said.
Yes, so it was a bit chaotic.
Interactivity. It's a big problem.
It was a bit chaotic, and in the end, even some journalists were manhandled over there.
Yes,
so
we had reports of that. That's really bad. A journalist would have to face some of these things. But
there
were BBC Africa, Kenya police threaten lethal force, and well, Nairobi's police chief warns opposition supporters not to take part in Monday's rally for electoral reform in the Kenyan capital. If you value your life. That's
more like a threat.
This is a threat, yes, and
like
that's why the headline says threatening lethal force. It's a threat.
And I was listening to the opposition leader, and he suggested that, well, despite this threat, they're still going.
They have a right to.
They will be embarking on that protest.
Anyway, let's just see how it turns out. But pesticide found for Nigeria tomato killer. So while you're trying to save your tomatoes, you're killing them because you're using the wrong pesticide. But Boko Haram attack kills 32 in Niger. Some bad news. And Angola leader's daughter made oil boss. Family and friends.
Yeah, family and friends.
But there's a lot more on the BBC Africa page.
Okay, so quite a number of stories making rounds on our various social media networks, the platforms. I'm sure you saw quite a number of them that was brought to you by Bernice Abu Beidu. But also remember that you can follow us and get interactive with us on all our platforms, particularly for TV, radio, online, everywhere. There's an application on the Play Store that you can download. It's the MyJoy Online application. Just get there, key in MyJoy Online on the Google Play Store. You can download it, and then you can watch the AM show live on that very platform.
And talking about getting interactive with us, and let me pick a few of your comments here on WhatsApp. This one is from Kwega in Akosombo. Good morning to all workers of Joy News. Good morning.
I know Baba Tando wants to butcher you now.
All right, okay.
Baba Tando really wants to kill you.
All right.
So seriously, she wants to butcher you. So we might have to make time for some sports now. And Baba Tando is standing by with the very latest in the world of sports. When we come back, Bernice Abu Beidu is going to read all your messages that you've been sending on our various social media platforms.